A few weeks ago, our family took a trip to Disney World, and it was everything they tell you that Disney trips are like with children. Magical, expensive, and exhausting. See, our kids were in awe the whole trip, but the fireworks display in front of the castle was like nothing they had ever seen before. Everything about that moment felt magical. Thousands of people crowded together as the park lights dimmed, the background music swelled, and that first explosion lit up the sky. It was at that moment when I felt my 6-year-old son reach up to grab my hand and call out, "Mommy, I can't see. Can you pick me up?" And honestly, the answer should have been no. No, sorry, buddy, I can't pick you up because if I do that, you are never going to want me to put you down again. And if I pick you up now and carry you for the next 10 to 15 minutes, my back is going to pay for it. The answer should have been a solid no. But here's the thing. I love that little boy. And the weight of loving him and my desire to see him enjoy the magic of what was about to happen was even greater than the weight of his 6-year-old body. And I really don't even have to tell you what I chose to do, because you already know. Yes, I reached down and I picked him up off the ground. And then I carried him for the entire show because he needed me. I'm sure many of you would have done the same thing, because each of us will willingly carry those who we love. Whether that's physically or metaphorically, we will show up for the people that we love, won't we? If I were to ask you to look at your community today, I am confident you might discover there are multiple people who may need to be carried in this season, because it's been a tough few years for a lot of us. In the Bible, there's a story about 4 incredible guys who show up to carry their friend when he needs them most. The story takes place in a town called Capernaum. It's where Jesus lives, and Jesus is actually returning home from one of his many road trips. Now, on this particular road trip, Jesus had been doing some incredible things, and people were calling these things that Jesus was doing miracles. And the town was abuzz with the stories that were being reported. And of course, everyone in Capernaum, after hearing this, wants to get into the same room as Jesus to hopefully witness a miracle with their own eyes. Yet while everybody in the city wants to be in that room, there is one man who lives in Capernaum who desperately needs to be in the same room as Jesus. Now, we don't know what his name is. The Bible just calls him the paralyzed man, and we know that he's unable to use his legs. And because this all took place over 2,000 years ago, he would not have had any access to medical support like a wheelchair to allow him to still live an independent life. And so we can assume with a bit of certainty that life hasn't always been easy for this man. And if anyone needs a miracle, he does. But he's faced with a difficult reality because an impossible journey stands between him and the miracle that he so desperately needs. So then in walks this guy's very special friends. They too have heard the reports of Jesus' miracles, and they've decided that they need to figure out a way to get their friend into a room with Jesus. So they each grab a corner of his bed mat, they pick him up, and they carry him across the streets of Capernaum. Now, this would not have been an easy journey. The roads were uneven, the path would have been filled with winding alleyways, not to mention the impossible crowd that would have lined the streets. And somehow, though, determined to get their friend close to Jesus, these friends successfully arrive at the street where Jesus is. But because of the crowd, it's impossible to get inside. So they end up climbing up onto the roof, pulling off some of the roof tiles, and they lower their friend and drop him at the feet of Jesus. And the Bible tells us that Jesus looks at the paralyzed man and he says, "Because of what your friends have done for you today, and because of their great faith in who I am, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk out of here." And just like that, the paralyzed man stands up, likely for the first time in his whole life, and walks into the streets, declaring that the reports are true. Jesus can indeed do miracles. I want you to imagine his friends' reactions. They're amazed, probably jumping up, high-fiving each other. Their long journey across the city has been worth it. Though they had to laboriously carry their friend to Jesus, he is now walking on his own 2 legs. These 4 friends were the community that this man so desperately needed. You and I are kind of like this story. Each of us will face difficult seasons in life, seasons where we might struggle, seasons where our hearts will break, seasons where we will lack what is needed to make it into the next day. That's why God created community, so that we wouldn't have to do this life on our own. We show up for each other. Sometimes we show up by making a meal. Sometimes it looks like mowing the grass or shoveling the snow. Another beautiful way we can show up for others is by simply lending a listening ear, or even by sacrificing some of our own time to drive a friend to an appointment. But did you know that God has also given his followers a beautiful way that we can carry people in difficult seasons? And that is through prayer. See, there's a verse in the Bible that says we are to carry each other's burdens. Just like those 4 friends carried their friend to Jesus, God invites us to carry our community in prayer to him. The reality is that you and I do not have enough energy, enough bandwidth, or large enough shoulders to carry the people that we love on our own. We were never meant to. But prayer helps us to recognize that our role is not to fix their circumstances. Our role is to carry them to Jesus, because he promises that he hears our cries and he'll answer them. Not always in the way we are expecting, but always in ways that will draw us closer to him. So if you find yourself in a healthy season of life right now, I'd encourage you, look around. Be ready and available to those in your community who might need you. Plan to show up and also be ready to carry them to Jesus. And if you find yourself in a difficult season, I want you to know you are not alone. Each of us have and will find ourselves in seasons where we need others to carry us. And if that is where you find yourself right now, I want you to know that there is a place for you at One Church TO. And it would be our great privilege to come alongside of you in these difficult moments and carry you to Jesus. Because we know that he loves you. We know that he will never leave you. And we know that he has the ability to step into the circumstances of your life. Friends, the truth is that we were never meant to do life on our own. God designed us to need community and to need him. And he has also designed us to share each other's burdens so that we can carry each other to him.